the things that's really critically important when I talk about what is blockchain, it's more about what is the potential of blockchain. Because I think one of the challenges that we have in this industry is that we often dive straight into the technical build of what blockchain is, what distributed ledger technologies are, what's the difference between them and the technical differences. And we automatically take people's minds to a place that we don't want them to be.
Hello world, this is BetterTech, a podcast where we chat with some of the most successful leaders about the latest industry developments. So join us as we explore the world reliant on tech. This episode is brought to you by Techcell, a leading software development company. Check them out at techcell.com.
Today we have with us Lisa Short, who is a digital technologist, entrepreneur, and the founder at Mindshifting. Hi Lisa, how are you doing today?
Really well, thanks, Mohammed. And yourself?
Good. Thank you so much for asking. I'm really excited about today's topic. I think that blockchain, distributed ledgers, and decentralized banking and everything, these topics have been in the minds of people for quite some time now, especially I remember from the time when cryptocurrency and Bitcoin took a leap upwards when it rose from, I remember back in 2018, November or December, I was looking at the rates of a Bitcoin and it was like $7,000 per Bitcoin. And all of a sudden, within 1 month or 2 months, it went to like 21,000. So that at that time, all of a sudden, the whole market was talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and blockchain and distributed ledgers and all of these fancy keywords. But afterwards, we also saw that kind of took a nosedive, and now it's like on 7,000 or something again. So we're going to cover briefly about what blockchain and all these technologies are, first of all, for the understanding of our audience. And then we can kind of talk about more the trends and the industries and how the small and medium businesses would be impacted by these technologies and what opportunities lie within these technologies, especially for small and medium businesses. So I think we can start off from a basic understanding of, talk to us, what exactly is blockchain? How do you describe it in a layman's terminology?
Look, it's a really interesting topic, and as you know, I think one of the things that's really critically important when I talk about what is blockchain, it's more about what is the potential of blockchain. Because I think one of the challenges that we have in this industry is that we often dive straight into the technical build of what blockchain is, what distributed ledger technologies are, what's the difference between them and the technical differences. And we automatically take people's minds to a place that we don't want them to be. We're not all coders. We don't all do technology. So if I use the internet, I don't ask how the internet's, created. I don't ask about its binary pairs, and I don't ask all that sort of technology. So I think it's really important when we are broadcasting this sort of information that we actually talk about the potentials of the technology and broadly what the technology does. And I think that's where I sort of like to start. So in terms of, what is blockchain and what are distributed ledger technologies, they are the technologies that are going to profoundly change the way we conduct business, the way that we can create efficiency gains and cost reductions and remove a centralized person. And in many ways, I'm
specifically talking about financial services or banking here only?
No, I'm not. No. In fact, I steer the conversation always away from financial services because, again, it's the same as if I talk about the technology. The minute I start talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I've already taken somebody's mind and the position of mainstream business in the economy and those who are making the decisions to a place where I don't want them to be. None of us are actually really, in many ways, selling the technology. We are selling the applications and the outcomes and the solutions that the use of the technology, along with an ecosystem of other technologies that will empower it, will deliver to business. And that's the crucial point. Financial services and digital currencies and payment systems are only one use of the technology. Yes, we know Bitcoin's been around for, over 10 years, etc. and I look at it as a digital asset, the same as I do a share, and the price is going to go up and down, etc. But in terms of the technology, we need to talk about the profound benefits and potentials of this technology. What does it do? I'm going to bring it down to some really basic language. I mean, I've taught my 83 and 84-year-old parents about what distributed ledger technologies and blockchain are and what are the benefits of it. I've also educated youth as young as like 5 and 6 years of age to grab the concept of what this technology is. And I remember very clearly, I ran a session with a colleague, Lars Janowski, who runs an organisation called the Gen Alpha Foundation, and we were educating Gen Alphas. Now, Gen Alphas are range in age from 3 and 4 to about 9 or 10 years of age. And attending that session, we had grandparents and parents and what have you. And it was something as simple as this. We had 2 teams of people, and we had adults one end and we had children the other, and we had people in the middle, and we had a mixture of people. We had adults and parents and grandparents and so forth, sort of standing in the middle. The children had bags of lollies or sweets, candies in a bag, and their task was to get those candies, those lollies from those bags to the other end, to the people the other end. They had to get them to the other end, and they had to get there by passing through this group of people right in the middle. So they get to the group of the kids all start going, and they go in teams, and they go they're in teams, and they go one at a time, and they hit these people in the middle of the football field where we were doing this exercise. And the people in the middle go, "No, you can't go through. Actually, I really want that lolly. There's too many sweets there. You can't have all those. I'm going to take that one. No, I don't think you should have that one. I'm going to have that one. And to pass through here, we have to take a couple." So by the time the entire team of children with their bags reached the other end, they're looking at their bags going, "Hang on a tick, I started with like a full bag, and now I've only got 3 or 4 left." And those people in the middle, my parents, they've got the chocolates. They've all got all their favourite ones. They've taken the ones that I wanted, but I didn't get a choice. They wouldn't let me through until they'd taken it. So when they arrived the other end, they had less than what they started with. So that was the idea of where we sit, now, what the traditional world is that we sit in now. We then created an alternative space.
The involvement of third-party people. I think that's an excellent analogy,
Correct.
An excellent way of explaining.
Correct. It's just third party. It doesn't matter whether it's financial services, whether it's banking, whether it's insurance, whether it's building, whether it's supply chain or retail. It doesn't matter. There's just a third party for me to get from point A to point B of where I need to go. These kids had to go through somebody in the middle who took something that belonged to them, and for them we use lollies because they could understand that concept. The second concept we ran straight away was we created a new environment. So out on the football field, we laid literally pieces of rope, big pieces of long rope. And on that rope, we sat clear plastic containers like blocks. They were little square blocks. And we sat them out in even spaces, and we sat them out we had like about 12 pieces of rope, sitting parallel with these plastic containers. Same teams, they started out with the same amount of lollies or sweets or candies in their bag, and in teams, one at a time, they had to move their sweets from block to block. They thought, this is ridiculous. Why are we doing this? So we said, no, you have to move them from block to block. The first person has to put them in the first block, the second block, etc. And when they get to the end and all the blocks are filled, we want to see what happens. So we did. So we had all the teams. Again, we had the same teams, and the children moved their candies and their sweets. And the first one put it in one block. The next child went out and moved it to the next block in rows. And by the end of it, they all had, each of these blocks had the same amount of sweets and the same amount of lollies in them that they started with. We said to the children, "What's the difference?" And they said, nobody took any. And we went, correct. Can you now count how many's in each block? And they could count in each block, and they could. And we said, so now you can all see it. Tell us some of the things that you're seeing. And they said, well, first of all, we can see what's in the block. We can see that it's clear. The containers are clear. There's the concept of transparency. We also could see that every block had the same amount in it that the block before it. And they had to move it from one block to the other. And every block was the same. And we said, so when you're looking across the room here, you can see that you've got 12 rows. All the information, which in this case is lollies, are the same. They all have the same. Yes, they do. Did anybody take any? No, they didn't. They didn't take any. What was the and we said, but how did you get it there? And they said, well, we walked. I said, so what have you used to get there? And they said, well, just energy. We just walked. And I said, and that's really the concept of blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. How hard can it be? We've eliminated a centralized person. We've minimized the amount of, loss of information. There's no entropy of information. We've got transparency. We can all see it. We can all see it's the same. We can verify by looking at it that each block is the same. We've all worked together and we've hardly used any energy. All we've done is walked. And so they were some basic concepts that we could understand about what is blockchain and distributed ledger technologies.
You probably, while you were speaking, I was just saying that you probably explained it like 1,000 times easier compared to all the webinars and all the articles and all the videos that I've seen by IBM and all of these technologies.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. Now I can go back. I can go back to that technology. I can go back to that scene, and I can go to anybody and go, see those little plastic square containers? They've got a name. They're called a node. And I said, and when they're all put together, that's called a network. Basically that's a network. Now I can go back and I can give each one of those components of that very simple scenario the correct name and the correct language should I choose, and depending on the audience that I've got. But isn't it more the concept of the potentials of this technology? So because then I can go to people. So if I can talk to you now about the situation I had before, imagine that those people in the middle of the room or the middle of the field taking your things are a bank, or they are the government, or they are somebody in your supply chain. You're a shop and you pay 5 different people before you get your product. What about if it's a supply of fuel or oil? Or what about it's a supply of a mineral that we dig out of the ground and we get to the end person before we make it? All I'm saying is it's a very simple concept. And this technology is the technology that empowers us and is the engine that delivers those tools to be able to do that.
Thank you so much for joining us, Lisa.
Thanks for listening to this episode by BetterTech. If you enjoyed this podcast, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to share it across your favorite social networking platform. We look forward to bringing you the latest industry news in our next episode. In the meantime, take a look at our other episodes and hit subscribe with the links in the description box below so that you don't miss out on the latest in tech.